The moment most people hear the word rapture, their mind goes straight to the idea of escape. They picture people vanishing. They picture an empty world left behind. They picture prophecy timelines, the Antichrist, the tribulation, the mark of the beast, and the dark events that will fall on the planet. And to be fair, all those things are connected to the rapture. The rapture is a part of biblical prophecy. It is the part of end-time story. It's the part of how the coming judgment of God on a rebellious world unfolds. None of that is wrong. But if that's the only way we understand the rapture, we've missed something deeply personal, deeply powerful, and deeply life-changing. The rapture isn't only about getting out of what's coming. It's about going to someone who is coming. It isn't only about being removed from the earth. It's about finally seeing Jesus face to face. It isn't only about disappearing from this world. It is about arriving in the presence of the one who loved us, saved us, washed us, kept us, carried us, and promised he would come back. The rapture is the believer's blessed hope. It's the moment faith becomes sight, the moment the long night ends, the moment when every tear, every burden, every struggle, every unanswered question, every secret pain, and every weary battle is finally swallowed up by the glory of Christ. That is why this should change the way you live. The biggest question isn't really, when will the rapture happen? The deeper question is, am I living like I'm ready to meet Jesus? Am I living like the world is temporary? Am I living like my real home is somewhere else? Am I living like the things this age treasures are already fading? Am I living like the trumpet could sound today, and in a single moment, everything I once thought mattered would suddenly look small next to the face of Christ? 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 16 to 17 says, "For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven without a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. That he which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord." Then in verse 18, Paul does something important. He tells the believers, "Wherefore comfort one another with these words." Notice that. The rapture has never meant to be a doctrine that only produces fear. For the believer, it is meant to produce comfort. It's meant to produce hope. It's meant to produce holiness. It's meant to lift our eyes above this broken world and remind us that Jesus has not forgotten his people. This is where a lot of believers need to renew their thinking. The rapture is not doom for the child of God. It isn't a dark cloud hanging over the Christian. It isn't a threat to anyone who belongs to Jesus. It is the sound of home calling. It's the moment the Lord gathers his people to himself. It is the moment when the believer stops walking by faith from a distance and stands in the presence of the one their soul has loved. Stop for a moment and think about heaven, not as some vague spiritual cloud somewhere above us, but as the actual dwelling place of God. A place where Christ is, a place where worship is pure, a place where love has no trace of selfishness mixed in, a place where joy isn't interrupted by anxiety, a place where peace isn't temporary, a place where there are no hospital rooms, no graves being dug, no coffins, no families weeping at funerals, no painful last goodbyes. Heaven isn't the end of joy. Heaven is where joy finally becomes full. So when we talk about the rapture, we cannot only talk about what we are leaving. We have to talk about who we are going to. We are going to Jesus. We're going to the Father's house. We're going to the place He prepared. We're going to the city where God Himself will live with His people. The rapture is not just the removal of believers from danger. It is the arrival of believers into glory. For the Christians, The rapture is the end of being homesick for a place we have never seen but have always belonged to. It's the end of feeling like strangers in a world that gets darker every day. It's the end of fighting the flesh, the end of struggling with temptation, the end of carrying wounds no one else can see. It is the moment the Lord Himself says to His people, "Come home." This is why we should not talk about the rapture with fear in our voices. We should talk about it with hope in our hearts. Yes, the world will face judgment. Yes, terrible things are coming on the earth. But for the believer, the rapture is not doom. It is deliverance. It is reunion. It is the bridegroom coming for his bride. It is the king receiving his people. It is the beginning of forever with the Lord. Now, think about what this means. One day, the believer will no longer be waiting. One day, the Christian who has suffered, prayed, endured, cried, and held on by faith will suddenly be standing in the presence of the Lord Himself. This isn't fantasy. This isn't religious imagination. This is the promise of God. Jesus said in John 14, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you." That means heaven isn't an uncertain idea. It isn't a vague hope. It is a prepared place for a prepared people. This is exactly where the rapture becomes practically life-changing. Because if Jesus is preparing a place for us, then we ought to be preparing our hearts for Him. If He is coming for His bride, then His bride should not be asleep. If He is returning for His people, then His people should not be living as though He is never coming back. The rapture should make us ask the hard questions. What am I holding on to that I need to surrender? What sin am I excusing that I need to repent for? What bitterness am I carrying that I need to let go of? What calling have I been ignoring? Who do I need to forgive? What part of my life would I be ashamed of if Jesus walked into the room right now? This doesn't mean we live in a panic. It means we live awake. It doesn't mean we stop worshiping, stop planning, stop building, or stop caring about life. It means we live with eternity in view. We work, but we don't worship work. We enjoy God's blessings, but we don't make them our God. We love our families, but we understand that even the best things on this earth are only shadows of greater joy to come. We live in this world, but we don't belong to this world. The rapture reminds us that everything here has an expiration date. The money people fight over is temporary. The fame people chase is temporary. The houses, the cars, the platforms, the applause, the arguments, the grudges, the secret sins, the trophies. All of it is passing away. One day, none of those things will matter the way we thought they did. The only thing that will matter is whether we belong to Christ. That's why we have to be careful not to treat heaven as something easy. A lot of people assume they're going to heaven because they aren't as bad as the next person. They assume they're in because they believe in God generally, or attended church a few times, or were baptized as a baby, or tried to be a decent person. But the Bible never teaches that people go to heaven by default. The Bible teaches that salvation is found in Jesus Christ alone. Eternal destiny is not decided by human opinion. It is decided by your relationship with the Son of God. Jesus did not come into the world to hand us a religious medal to wave at God. He came to save sinners. He came because our good works could never wash away our sin. He came because religion without redemption cannot clean a soul. He came because no prophet, no guru, no church tradition, no personal achievement, and no moral record could remove the guilt of sin. Only the blood of Jesus does that. Only Christ saves. Only Christ forgives. Only Christ brings us safely into the Father's house. When we talk about the rapture, we have to also talk about readiness. Not everyone who knows the word rapture is ready for the rapture. Not everyone who studies prophecy is walking with Christ. Not everyone who teaches on the end times is surrendered to the Lord of time. You can know the entire prophecy timeline cold and still not know Jesus. You can understand all the signs and still be spiritually asleep. You can be fascinated by what is coming and still be untouched by the one who is coming. And that's why the rapture has to do more than interest us. It has to examine us. It has to wake us up. It has to pull us out of lukewarm Christianity. It has to remind us that Jesus is not coming back for a casual acquaintance. He's coming for His church. He's coming for those who are His. He's coming for the redeemed, the forgiven, the blood-washed, the born again. The question is not, do I know religious language? The question is, do I know Him? For the genuine believer, this message is not meant to crush you. It's meant to comfort you. Because the rapture means your suffering has an expiration date. Your grief has an expiration date. Your sickness has an expiration date. Your loneliness has an expiration date. Your battle with sin has an expiration date. Your tears have an expiration date. Revelation tells us that God Himself will wipe away every tear from the eyes of His people. Death will be no more. There will be no more mourning, no more crying, no more pain. The former things will have passed away. Can you actually picture that? No more funeral homes, no more hospital beds, no more painful goodbyes, no more gravesides, no more watching people you love fade away, no more anxiety about tomorrow, no more fear in the middle of the night, no more aging bodies breaking down, no more tormented minds, no more divided homes, no more sin tugging at the heart, no more shame, no more regret, no more separation from the presence of God. The Lord Himself will live with His people. That is what we are actually moving toward. Not just an escape route, but a homecoming. Not just a disappearance, but a reunion. Not just the end of the world as we know it, but the beginning of life, the way God always intended it to be. The rapture points us to the day when the people of God will be gathered together, not as strangers, not as orphans, not as forgotten people, but as sons and daughters in the Father's house. Every believer who has ever felt abandoned will know what it is to be fully accepted. Every believer who has ever felt rejected will know what it is to be fully loved. Every believer who has carried hidden wounds will know what it is to be fully healed. Here is maybe the most beautiful part of all. We will be with the Lord forever. The greatest treasure of heaven is not gold streets. It's not pearl gates. It's not the size of the New Jerusalem. It is not even reunion with people we have lost, as wonderful as that will be. The greatest treasure of heaven is Jesus Himself. To see Him, to be with Him, to worship Him without distraction, to love Him without weakness, to serve Him without sin, to know Him without distance. That is the hope of the rapture. So don't reduce this to a debate. Don't reduce it to a chart. Don't reduce it to a headline you scroll past. Let it be a mirror. Let it ask you, are you ready? Let it ask you, are you living for what actually lasts? Let it ask you, if Christ came back today, would you rejoice or would you be ashamed? Let it ask you, are you holding onto your trophies or have you thrown yourself into the arms of Jesus? Because one day, the last ordinary day on earth will come. People will be working, buying, selling, planning, scrolling, laughing, arguing, and going about life as though everything will continue forever. And then, in a moment, the Lord Himself will descend. The trumpet will sound. The dead in Christ will rise. And those who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. That is the blessed hope. That is the believer's actual future. That is the truth that should change how every Christian lives today. So live ready, live clean, live surrendered, live with eternity in your heart. Don't let this world own you. Don't let sin master you. Don't let fear rule you. Don't let comfort numb you. Jesus is coming back for His people. And when He comes, may He find us watching, waiting, faithful, and full of love for Him. Because the rapture is not just about leaving this world. It is about finally going home.
Throughout history, one city has been at the center of every major conflict, every geopolitical crisis, and every spiritual battle. That city is Jerusalem. And the Bible tells us exactly why and what's coming next. Jesus warned His disciples about a specific moment in time. He said, "When you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." Now, this wasn't just a warning about the past, it was a prophecy about the future. And it all centers on one city, Jerusalem. The Bible is remarkably specific about Jerusalem's role in the end times. Let me show you what the prophet saw. According to the book of Revelation and the prophecies of Daniel, Jerusalem will be the seat of power for the Antichrist himself. Revelation 13 tells us about a beast, a world ruler who will control commerce, religion, and government. But where will he establish his throne? The Bible is clear: in the rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. Daniel 9 verse 27 speaks of an abomination of desolation being set up in the temple. Jesus himself referenced this prophecy in Matthew 24 verse 15, warning his followers, "When you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." This isn't symbolic language. This is a literal prophecy about a literal event that will happen in a literal place, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. This is why Jerusalem matters so much. It's not just a city, it's the stage where the final act of human history will unfold. And here's what's remarkable. The Bible predicted this thousands of years ago. Zechariah 12 verse 3 says, "On that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves." I mean, look at the world today. What city is more congested? What country is more fought over? What city is more central to the international politics than Jerusalem? The Bible predicted that Jerusalem would be the focal point of global conflict in the end times. And that is exactly what we're seeing. So Jerusalem is the stage. The temple is being prepared. But here's the question. Is there anything happening right now in the world that's setting the stage for the Antichrist to rise to power? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Simply because the infrastructure for his global control system is already being built, and it's happening right in front of us. Now, while the world's attention is focused on Jerusalem and in the Middle East, something else is happening globally. A system is being built, a system that will eventually control who can buy, who can sell, and who can participate in society. The Bible predicted this system 2,000 years ago, and today, the technology to make it possible is already here. Revelation 13, verse 16 to 17 contains one of the most chilling prophecies in the Bible. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Now, for centuries, people read this and wondered, how could this possibly work? How could you control every single transaction on Earth? How could you prevent someone from buying food or paying rent without some kind of universal identification system? Well, the answer is technology. And that technology exists right now. Current development number 1, RFID and biometric payment systems. RFID, radio frequency identification. This is a technology that's been around for decades. It's used to track livestock, identify lost pets, and speed up toll payments. But in recent years, it's evolved into something far more sophisticated. Today, RFID chips can be embedded in payment cards, wearable devices, and even implanted under the skin. Combined with biometric data, your fingerprints, your facial recognition, your iris scan, these systems create a form of identification that is unique to you, impossible to forge, and trackable in real time, and it's all connected to your financial accounts. And this isn't science fiction. This is happening right now. Development number 2, fingerprint and facial recognition integration. Just walk into a store in many parts of the world today and you can pay with your face, your fingerprint, your iris scan. No card needed, no cash needed, just you. Companies like MasterCard and Amazon are rolling out biometric payment systems. Airports are using facial recognition for boarding. Banks are using fingerprint authentication. Governments are issuing digital IDs with biometric data. Now, the infrastructure is being normalized. People are being conditioned to accept it. And once it's universal, once everyone has a digital ID linked to their biometric data and their financial accounts, the next step becomes possible. Control. Development number 3, contactless payment becoming mandatory. During the COVID-19 pandemic, something shifted. Contactless payment went from being optional to being preferred, and in many places it became mandatory. Businesses stopped accepting cash, and ATMs were removed. Digital payment became the only option. And this wasn't an accident. It was a test, a proof of concept, and it worked. People adapted, they accepted it, and now the infrastructure is in place to make it permanent. Development number 4, digital ID systems worldwide. Governments around the world are implementing digital ID systems. The European Union has a digital identity framework. India has Aadhaar, a biometric ID system for over 1 billion people. China has a social credit system that tracks every citizen's behavior and financial transactions. And these systems are being sold as convenient, as secure, as necessary for modern life. But they're also the foundation for total control. Once your identity, your biometric data, and your financial accounts are all linked in a digital system, you can be tracked, monitored, and controlled in ways that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. Development 5, the cashless society movement. The push towards a cashless society is accelerating. Sweden is nearly cashless already, and other countries are following. The argument here is always the same. Cash is dirty, cash is used for crime, cash is inefficient. Digital payment is cleaner, safer, and more efficient. But here's what's happening in a cashless society. There's no privacy. Every transaction is recorded. Every purchase is tracked. Every financial decision is monitored. And if the government, or the Antichrist system, decides you shouldn't be able to buy something, they can simply turn off your access. No warning, no appeal, just nothing. Development number 6, surveillance capitalism and tracking technology. We are living in an age of unprecedented surveillance. Your phone tracks your location. Your social media tracks your behavior. Your smart home devices listen to your conversations. Your credit cards track your purchases. Your internet service provider tracks your browsing. This data is collected, analyzed, and sold. It's used to predict your behavior, influence your decisions, and control your choices. And it's all happening voluntarily. We are paying for the devices that spy on us. We're agreeing to the terms and conditions that allow our data to be harvested. This is the foundation. This is the infrastructure. This is what makes Revelation 13 possible. So we know the technology exists. We know the infrastructure is being built. But where will this system originate? Where will the Antichrist establish his power base? The Bible gives us very specific answers, and those answers point to specific cities. The Bible mentions several cities that will be central to the Antichrist's rise to power, and 2 stand out as the most significant: Babylon and Rome. Now, understanding these cities is crucial to understanding how the end times will unfold. Now, when most people think of Babylon, they think of ancient history, a city that fell thousands of years ago. But the Bible suggests something different. Babylon isn't just history, it's prophecy. Revelation 17 and 18 contain extensive prophecies about Babylon the Great. And here's what's remarkable. Bible scholars have debated for centuries whether this is symbolic or literal. But a careful reading of the text suggests it's both. Revelation 18 verse 2 says, Fallen is Babylon the Great. And then it describes the destruction of this city in vivid detail. Revelation 18:10 says the destruction happens in 1 hour. Revelation 18:17 describes merchants mourning the fall of the city because they can no longer trade with it. This language suggests a literal, physical city, not a symbolic concept, a real place that will be destroyed. But Babylon is also more than just a city. Revelation 17 verse 5 refers to Mystery Babylon, a religious and economic system that the Antichrist will use to control the world. And many believe theories of 2 Babylons. 1, the literal city of Babylon in Iraq, the Antichrist's political capital. Or 2, the religious system called Mystery Babylon, the false religion that will dominate the world. Now, these are 2 sides of the same coin. The city is the headquarters, and the system is the global network of control. But why Babylon? Why would the Antichrist choose to rebuild and rule from ancient Babylon? Because Babylon represents something specific in biblical symbolism. It represents rebellion against God. It represents the confusion of languages and the scattering of humanity, the Tower of Babel. It represents the root of all false religion and idolatry. In the Bible, Babylon is the symbol of human pride, human rebellion, and human systems opposed to God. So it makes perfect sense that the Antichrist, the ultimate rebel against God, would establish his capital there. Now, here's the most important question. What does this mean for you? What should you do with this information? Well, the Bible doesn't give us this information to make us afraid. It gives us this information to make us prepared. Jesus said in Luke 21, verse 36, "Watch, therefore, and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." We're called to watch. We're called to be aware. We're called to recognize the signs of the times, but we're also called to pray. We're called to maintain our faith. We're called to stay spiritually grounded. So here's what I want to challenge you to do. Know the truth. Study the Bible. Understand biblical prophecy. And don't be deceived by false teachings. The only defense against deception is truth. Pray for discernment. Ask God to give you wisdom to recognize deception. Ask Him to protect you and your loved ones from spiritual deception. And finally, stay spiritually ready. We don't know the day or the hour of Christ's return, but we do know it's coming. Live as if He could return today. Maintain your relationship with God. Keep your faith strong.